In the previous videos, we have learned about MS Excel introduction and file button and home ribbon button. Now we are going to learn about insert. So insert button, what are all the options available? We will go one by one and learn each and every button. So whenever you click on insert button, so we have an option called pivot tables, recommended pivot tables, illustration, recommended charts. So these are the some of the options which are available under insert button. So let me take here. I have given some text or information for your reference what it's going to do. For example, hyperlink. So how you can create hyperlink to folder or picture or file we can create. So we are going to cover one by one all the options. So let me take my sample data. So here I have my sample data. So let me copy to the new workbook. So I have copied to the new workbook. So I'll select my data. For in order to create pivot table, data selection is very important. I would say data selection is must. Here, so there are various options under insert button. So under insert button, so first I will teach you recommended pivot tables, then we will get into the pivot tables. First I will select recommended pivot table. So first of all, what is pivot table? So why do we have to learn pivot tables? See, pivot table is nothing but a kind of table. Your data will be summarized based on your requirement into the column, rows, and adding some filters. For example, when you have a huge or large data, you wanted to summarize that data and show the numbers, totals or subtotals or whatever it is. Now here I have cap details. Now I would like to create a I would like to use recommended pivot tables. Let me select recommended pivot tables. See, this is recommending me some pivot tables which if I am fine with this is what if I am looking. So based on the data it will recommend. So here if you see customer bill by city, from each city what is the customer bill, it is summing up. If you select this one, customer bill by operator bill, from each city what is operator bill. Here we have number of customers from each city. Okay, here what is the source? So customer bill it is giving me. See, for example, if I select this one, my pivot table will be created. So always pivot table will be created in the new sheet. However, if you want, you can create pivot table in the existing sheet as well. So in the pivot table, mainly we have four fields, that is filters, columns, rows and values. So you can choose anything from recommended pivot table and create a pivot table. I will show you now. Let me select, let me also use once again recommended pivot table. Under recommended pivot table, I want this. So sum of operator bill, sum of customer bill. If I give OK, this is how it is getting created. In case if I wanted to expand this, I can expand it. Who are customers booked cab with call center? Who all are the customers booked cab with Gestdial? Who all are customers used mobile web to book cab? Who all are customers used app to book cab? And other sources. So here I have data. So this entire data has been, see here if you see, this data is in 120 rows, but the data has been summarized. See, that could be any huge data. Here I have taken as a sample data. I wanted to show you this is how you can create pivot tables. So now let me select data. Let me go ahead and create pivot table. Now we learned how to use the recommended pivot tables. It's not compulsory that you should go with the recommended pivot tables. You can create it whichever you want. You can uncheck, you can drag wherever you want. Now I do not want count of customers. So here there is an option, right? Count of customers. Just remove this field. This will be gone. Now if I do not want operator bill, uncheck this one. This will be gone. Now I do not want source. uncheck this one, this will be gone. I do not want phone number, you can uncheck this one, this will be gone. So this is how you can customize. However, I will show you. Now we'll go to the pivot table. So pivot table from table or range. So here is the range which we have already selected. In case if you wanted to select once again, or if you wanted to make any changes, you can select it from here. Let me select it. Give. So here there are two options, new worksheet or existing worksheet. So by default, as I said, it will be created in the new worksheet. So now sheet 6 will be opened if I click on it. So sheet 6 has been created. Now here I have a pivot table, and here I have all the column headers, that is fields. Now I would like to drag them based on my requirement. Now I would like to have city wise number of customers. Okay, I can put customers in the values. So here I got city wise count of customers. Now I would like to have another value, that is operator bill city wise. Now if I put it here, so based on the number it is picking up as a sum. In case I wanted to change it, just click on it. Here we have various options. Instead of sum, if you want count, if you want average, if you want max, minimum, product, all those you can select based on your requirement. Now I'll say sum. I can select it. Now I would like to make this as a number format. So I can make it as a number format, which I showed you under home button. Now this is a simple pivot table which we have created. Now let me create pivot table within the workbook, within the worksheet. How can we create that? Go here, insert from table. So here there is an option called existing worksheet, and where you want to create a pivot table, give some select at least one cell, because it has to create pivot table from that particular address. Just click on it. So here your pivot table is getting created. Now I want source wise, then I want city in the filters, or else let me put okay city in the filters, and I want city in the columns, not filters, city in the columns. Pickup date I will put it in the filters. Then what else I want? I want operator bill, I will put it in the sum. Now here if you see, source wise bookings and city wise sum of operator bill, I got it. Okay, this let me make it to the number format. I will select, let me make it to the number format. I do not want any decimals, I can check as well. So here we have grand total, right? So if you do not want grand total, how do we delete it? You can just right click on it. There is an option called remove grand total. You can remove it, or else there is another way of doing it as well. How do we do another way? So let me show you how you can do it. So here I have put city wise. See, city columns means all the cities are coming in the columns, and source is coming in the row, and value, that is sum of operator bill, which is coming as a value. Now I have put under filters, that is pickup date. If you wanted to select, I want to know source wise, city wise bookings for particular date only. Anyway, I will explain under filters. Let me check this one. So whichever the date you wanted to check, I will say 4th and 5th and 6th. These 3 dates will be filtered based on your requirement. So this is how you can create pivot tables based on your requirement. It's all about, you just need to drag and drop in the 4 fields, that is filters, columns, rows and values based on your requirement. Now I have data, and I wanted to, let me take another sample data for creating pivot table. See, as soon as you select a pivot table, there is a pivot table analyzer. If you see, pivot table analyze has been activated. There is another ribbon called design has been activated. So I will explain you all the options, what are all the options available under pivot table analyze and design as well. So let me take another sample data. So let me close this file. I do not want. Let me create new workbook. Go to my sample data 2. Let me take my sample data 2. So here I have copied my sample data 2. So I would like to create pivot table for this data. So you can use recommended pivot table. So if you wanted to get sum of April, yes, you can use. And if you don't like it recommended pivot table, you can create your own recommended table from you select the range, that is table range, give OK. Now I want employee name and employee ID. Here you can adjust whichever you want top and whichever you want type, this one bottom. Now I would like to select so right click this, I will say move to end. Okay, now I would like to have month wise totals. So I'll select April, May, June, July. I just select it, August. Here I got the month wise total. Now I got my pivot table, but I want employee ID in one column, employee name in one column, the earnings and this one deductions, the pay code information in one column. So how do we do that? So just right click on it. There is an option called pivot table option. Go there and click on display. There is an option called classic pivot table layout, enables dragging of fields in the grid. Just click on it. So this is how it's got created. Now see, all the names came in the one column only, but we want to copy this. Now I do not want any subtotals. Just right click on it, or else you can go here. There is a design. You do not want subtotals. Do not show subtotals. You can uncheck. And there is a another show subtotals at bottom of the group. For each and every bottom of the group, it will show the subtotals. And if you wanted to show top all the subtotals in the top of the group, you can do that as well. Now let me remove, let me select show as totals on the top of this one. So let me remove, I do not want any subtotals. Now I want to show grand totals. So of grand totals, if you wanted to show on for rows grand totals, on for rows only, on for columns only. So if you want, you can create the grand totals. So since we don't have here, we have removed. So in case if grand totals are there, if you wanted to on and off, you can do based on your requirement. Now there is another option called report layout. So compact show in compact form. If you select, this is how it will show in compact form. And if you wanted to, okay, let me show in compact form, and place a cursor here. Next, show in outline form. This is how it will show, and show in tabular form. This is it will show. So you remember we have selected tabular form. We have different forms. The one which suits for your requirement you can select, and repeat all item labels. If you select here, you see for each and every row the name will be repeated. So this is how it will show. So repeat all item labels, and do not repeat all item labels. If you do not want, then you can select as a do not repeat all item labels. Next, row headers. If you wanted to show row headers as bold color, you see here these are getting changed, right? You can select it. If you do not want, you can uncheck. And column headers, if you want column headers to be bold, you can select it. If you do not want, you can uncheck. By default it will be selected. And banded rows, so banded rows means, so let me select all, repeat all items. So banded rows means if you wanted to see these, we call it as a banded rows. So why do we use banded rows? In case if you wanted to check particular column or particular row, so this is how banded rows for columns and headers, I mean rows, it is how it will work. If you uncheck, nothing will be showed as a banded rows. Now here we have pivot table styles. So whichever the style you want, you can select it. If you see here, if you select, we have various styles. Light styles we have, and medium styles we have dark styles as well. So whichever you want, you can select based on your requirement. It's all about customizing pivot table. So there are various designs which you can use for your requirement. So it's again just summarizing data using the pivot table for based on your requirement to get either sum or average or sum. So now there is another option. These are the some of the options which are available under design. So let us get into the pivot table analyze. So pivot table analyze. So where do we use this one and how do we use this one? This is a good question. So if you see here, we have field settings, we have pivot table name. We can give pivot table name. This is pivot of payroll data. Payroll I am giving. So why do we have to create a pivot table name? I'll show you when you wanted to make it as a dynamic any of the pivot tables. If we give or name it as a pivot table, that would be easy for us to create it. And we have active field. So wherever you place, this will show it as active field, and field settings. And if you wanted to have a custom settings, that is average, sum, if, all those you can select. So instead of this column, I would like to have a sum of August. Instead of that, I would like to have a average number. See, my average of August, it is been updated as a average of August. If you wanted to change this one to count, you can select count as well, count of August. Whichever the column you want, you can change it. Next, we have insert slicer. So I will show you insert slicer how it works. So what is meant by slicer? So whenever you place a cursor, it says use a slicer to filter data visually. Slicers make it faster and easier to filter tables, pivot charts, and cube functions. Okay, so if I click on insert pivot table, I will select employee names. I will put, this is how my slicer is being created. Using the slicer, now I would like to see only one employee data. See, as soon as I create slicer, you see slicer designs have been activated. So whichever the slicer I want to choose, I can choose it. Slicer styles we have, and if you wanted to report connections from slicer, that will show you later. So you can give which is the active cell, I mean employee slicer settings. You wanted to have slicer settings ascending or descending order. By default we'll have ascending order. All these you can change it based on your requirement. Now these slicers here, I have only 4 names, right? Okay. In case I wanted to have it in the multiple columns, you just enter 2 columns. So this is how your slicer will fit into the 2 columns. Okay. And if you wanted to adjust your slicer, what's the height and width, you can adjust it the way how you want. You can adjust it. Width also, if you want, you can adjust it here, and height also, if you want, you can adjust it. This one here also you can adjust it manually, also you can adjust it. Okay. Next, when I place a cursor on pivot table analyzer, we have a slicer. Now I would like to see only David information. If I just click on David, so this is how my data will be filtered, only David information. If I choose only Atul, it will filter only for the Atul. If I choose Avinash, it will filter only for the Avinash. Now I do not want to filter anything, just clear filters. It will show the entire data. So the whole intention here, if you wanted to based on your customization, you can create a slicers and start filtering. So here we have multiple slicers also you can insert. So I want employee name, employee pay code as well. You can select multiple slicers. You can put it here, and I want to see comp only for the employee number. I want to only see his earnings. If you select earnings only for that particular employee, only earnings will be visible. So this is how you can use the slicers. The next option which we have under pivot table analyze. So let me remove all the slicers here. Let me take out, remove all the filters. I'll delete slicers. So where do we use actually slicers? We use slicers mainly when we create dashboard and when we create some kind of summaries. If you wanted to filter in the summaries, that is where we create slicers. Okay. Next, pivot table analyze, and this is refresh option is there and change data source is there. Where do we use this one? So this is the data which I have it right now. For example, my data source got changed. There are additional lines have been added. Now how do we do? We'll have to go here and refresh. If we refresh, the numbers are not getting changed. Then we have to change the data source. So earlier we have selected till only 79th row. Now we have to select till 157th row. You enter, your data will be updated. In case if there are any deletions, okay, for example, if you take any deletions, if you refresh it, your pivot table will be automatically updated with latest data. And if you wanted to clear all the pivot tables, yes, you can clear. If you wanted to select anything, entire pivot table and copy paste somewhere else, you can select the entire pivot table. And if you wanted to copy any values and I mean select only values, you can select only labels. If you want, you can select and entire pivot table. Enable selection if you want, you can do it. Then designs which we already discussed, we have a fields and items. So calculate field, this is very useful feature which is available under pivot table. So calculate field, so how does it work? Calculate field, for example, here I have May and June, July month. Now I would like to calculate some fields based on the data which is available. For example, I would like to add sum of April and May. So I will say April and May. So what I wanted to do, sum. So I will take here equals to sum, that is which is the field you wanted to insert, April plus May, insert field, give OK. So here I got the sum of April and May. So what is the point of adding it here? For example, why can't I add it here, April plus May? I can do it, right? No, what is the point in adding it using the insert field? See what happens whenever you wanted to see, this is how it will come. Okay, so whenever you want to make it as a dynamic in the future, if your data got changed, if you refresh, this will be remain same and this data also will be automatically updated. I'll show you. Let me delete some data, go back and refresh it, go to pivot table analyzer and refresh it. See, your numbers got automatically updated. So that is how it works. Next we have pivot charts. So I will show you how pivot charts works and recommended pivot charts as well. And if you wanted to expand and these buttons, if you want to have, what do we call these buttons as show or hide buttons. If you want to have these buttons, you can show and hide. And if you wanted to see field list, so this is a pivot table. When we create, we have a field list and field headers. If you wanted to unhide, I mean remove field headers, you could see the difference, right? Click on it, that's up to you. So these are all about pivot tables under insert tab. Now let me get into the table. So what is mean by table? So where do we use this table and why do we use this table? So when we have a data, it would be easy for us to see. Let me place a cursor on table. Create a table to organize and analyze related data. Table makes it easy to sort, filter and format data with a sheet. So I will select my data. I will create it as a table. So for creating a table, shortcut key is Control plus T, or you can select it here. And my data has headers. Yes, my data has headers. If your data doesn't have headers, you can uncheck this one, give OK. So whenever you give OK, so this is how your data has been formatted to the table. So in the normal text, okay, you cannot insert any slicers, you cannot insert, I mean you can insert filters, but however it is not visible. So I will create it as a table format. This is how. Now I can see as soon as I create a table, my table design has been activated. If you see here, similar way, as soon as we create a pivot table, pivot table analyzer got activated. Similar way, table design, we have various tables here, whichever the table format you can use it. And summarize with pivot table, if you have any you would like to summarize this data with pivot table, yes you can. And remove duplicates, if you wanted to remove any duplicates, you can directly remove it here from here. And if you wanted to insert a slicer, similar way how I showed you how to insert slicers in the pivot table, so here we can insert slicers as well. In the normal text format you cannot insert any slicers, but however we can insert slicers using this beautiful option as table, create a table. So next option what we have under table design, convert to range. If you want it, move it back to the normal text, you can do that. Next, insert table, if you wanted to export this particular table to the SharePoint or various others, if you want you can export it. And header row, if you wanted to remove header row, if you wanted to show as a total row, all these you have it. And first column, last column, all these you can select. And banded columns, if you want you can select, which I showed you. Similar options as per the pivot table. Here we have similar options how we have under pivot table as well. Next, table styles, which I have showed you. Next, let me get into the insert. Now another benefit, for example, I would like to have sum of all the months. Okay, if I select here, if I put formula in one field, it will automatically calculate for the other fields as well. I no need to drag down this formula. Similar way, I wanted to have average salary. So I'll see as soon as I enter, my format has been designed and it's got entered till down. So here I will select equals to average. Anyway, these formulas I am going to cover one by one how we can start using all these formulas. If you see here, as soon as I update and enter, my all the fields will be calculated automatically. That is the beauty of creating a table. Now let me take this data to normal sheet. So this is all about tables. Now we have illustrations. Under illustrations, if you wanted to insert any pictures, you can insert from your device. So let me insert some of my picture. If you insert, yes, you can insert any picture in the Excel sheet using the illustration and insert picture. If you wanted to see, as soon as I insert my picture, you see picture format has been enabled. So here you can format your picture based on your requirement. See, if you wanted to rotate your picture, you can rotate it. And if you wanted to add some picture format, so let me make it my picture as like this. If you want, you can change. So there are various formats available under picture format. So based on your requirement, you can add it or change it. Now if you wanted to have some background color as something different, if you see here, picture border, which color you want, you can change it. And picture effects, if you want picture in the different effects, you can choose it. If I want picture like this, I can create and change it based on my requirement. If you wanted to remove any background, you can remove and what you want to put under, see here, if you check on color, there are various pictures are available. And artistic effect, if you wanted to have anything artistic effect, you can do that as well. And transparency, if you wanted to have, let me go back to normal. And transparency, if you wanted to have transparency, that also you can change based on your requirement. So where do we use pictures in the MS Excel? Mainly, if you ask me, so we don't usually use pictures in the MS Excel, but we do use company logos as a picture. If you wanted to insert my company logo as a picture, I can insert it and start using for start using my Excel data. Then I have a other option called insert shapes. If you wanted to insert any shapes in the MS Excel, you can do that. So let me show you. Let me insert text box. So I can use text box. I can type whatever I wanted in the text box. So as soon as you insert a text box, the shape format has been enabled. And if you wanted to have a different color, if you wanted to change based on your requirement, the way how you want, you can create it. And if you wanted to change the effects, so if you want 3D like this, all this you can change it. So as soon as you insert a shape, your shape format will be enabled. Under shape format, there are various options available. So based on shape effect, if you wanted to have a shadow, there are glow, there are soft edges, there are various things. If you want, you can select and use it. And under insert, there are various other options as well available. If you want arrow marks, if you want all these options available, so arrow marks, right arrow mark, you can type any text whatever you want it here. In case if you want down arrow mark, you can down arrow mark. See, as soon as you select, shape format will be enabled, and whichever the format you want, you can select it. So in that you can type as well, whatever you want you can type it as well. That's up to you. So where do we use all these shapes and all? So when we are designing something in MS Excel, or if you are linking from one to another, you can use all these shapes and link it. So if you go here, there are icons as well, and there are 3D models. 3D models also we can use it if we have something like that. Else we have smart art. If you wanted to use a smart art, yes, smart art. Where do we use smart art? So smart art here, like kind of process document. If you wanted to have a list, something like that, if you wanted to list it down, you can use it. And I have a list of options. I have processes. If you wanted to create some kind of hierarchy or some process document like this, you can insert it and start using for your requirement. So let me delete this. See, as soon as I insert smart art, my format has been enabled. Okay, under format, I can fill shape whatever I want. Okay, and if I do not want any fill, you can. And if you wanted to create a outline and all, you can create it with different colors, and again shapes and all whatever. For example, I wanted to change only for this particular text. Okay, so let me change color only for the this particular. You just need to select that particular one and change it. For example, I wanted to change it for this one. Let me fill with different color. I can change it. So this is how you can insert various smart art and start using it based on your requirement. Next option which we have, screenshot is available. And if you have opened any windows, if you wanted to take any screenshot, if you just click on it, so there are two more windows open. If I just click on it, that window screenshot will be automatically inserted here. Next option, what we have, 3D models and all we covered. Next, let us get into the charts. So charts, where do we use? So for example, I have, let me take some simple data. So I will take year, sales and profit. Okay, so I will take 20, 20, 2021, 2022, 2023, and sales I will take 300 crores, 280 crores, 400 crores, 450 crores. Profit I will take 150 crores, 180 crores, 280 crores, 300 crores. Okay, when I have a this one, I wanted to represent this in a chart. So how can we show? We have a recommended charts as usual. If you are comfortable with any of this chart, yes, you can choose. Okay, I am okay to have this chart. Yes. So as soon as I create a chart, if you see here, my chart design and format has been enabled. So here we have various chart options available under chart design. So you can choose whichever the chart you want. For example, if I want this one, and if you wanted to put chart title, you can edit chart title, anything whatever you want. So I will say sales versus profit. So you can edit. So there are various options available under this one, how you want to edit, how you want to make all those changes available here. Next, format. So if you wanted to add or any format, you can add this as well. See, color and all. See this, once you select this one, however you want, you can shape fill which color you want. All this you can change it based on your requirement. So here I wanted to show you how you can create a chart. So this is all about recommended pivot chart. So there are various recommended pivot charts are available, and if you go to the next, let me delete it and redo it. There are charts as well available. Here we have column charts. So here we have what do you say, line charts. So here we have pie charts. So whichever the chart you want, you can select it. So before that, let me select the data. So first I need to select the data. I'll go to insert option, then let me create pie chart. So here my pie chart has been created. So as soon as my pie chart is created, so here if you wanted to see year wise, so if you wanted to change this data from row to column, column to row, you can change it. Or if you wanted to set the data, so let me take only sales and profit. So these are sales, this is a profit. If you wanted to show year wise, how do we change? If you wanted to move chart from one sheet to another sheet, you can do that. If you wanted to change the chart, now I created, I don't like this chart, I wanted to go with the other chart. So this chart, if I am comfortable, I can give OK. My chart will be created. See, it's all about you just have to use it. So select the various options and start using it. So here we have various options. If you wanted to fill with some solid fill, okay, uh, gradient fill, picture or texture, pattern fill, automatic, there are various options are available. It's all about how you want to design. You can start using it. Next, which I showed you, when as soon as you selected this one format, in case now I wanted to put something in the chart, so I can insert text box and start typing. Okay, so sales versus profit. Now let me design this one. Okay, as soon as I select, my shape format has been enabled. Now I'll use this one, and you can insert whatever you want based on your requirement. So this is all about basic chart which you can learn. Once you create, there are various charts. It's all about you just need to select the data and create a chart, and you see whichever you want based on your requirement. So we have clustered chart as well. If you want, you can use based on requirement, you can start using the charts. Now in case if my data gets changed here, instead of 400 500, my chart will be automatically updated. So in case if I put it 1000 here, see my chart is updating automatically because it is in the same page and same sheet. So whenever I make changes to my data, my chart will be updated automatically. We call that as a dynamic. Next option which we have available is pivot chart. So pivot chart I wanted to show you. For example, I have a data, right? So this data, I have a huge data. From that data I have created a summary. For that summary I would like to create a chart, pivot chart. So if you are fine with this chart, yes, you can select it. So you can move this chart wherever you want. Okay, if you wanted to move it to the different place, you can move it. Next, what are the other options which are available under? So field list, if you wanted to have field list here, you can have it. I think pivot table. Under chart, yes, chart design, which we already discussed. If you wanted to have a various layouts, if you want, you can start using. Maybe let me show you to for the small chart which we have created. So let me change my chart design, chart type to column chart. I think sales and profit, I would like to have this one. Now formats which we already covered. I wanted to show you something else, how this, see, as soon as you select the chart, your chart design is activated, right? So if you wanted to add any elements on y-axis, or example here by default I have labels, right? If you do not want labels, data labels, you can uncheck it. So there are various options available under this. If you check, so whether you wanted to have check or uncheck, all these you can select based on your requirement. If you wanted to have data tables also you can. If you wanted to have error bars, you can have it. So if you wanted to have a trend lines, if you wanted to have a trend line for sales and trend line for select, for which one you want, trend line for profit, trend line also you can select. So here we have various color combinations. If you wanted to choose, you can choose whichever the color you want. So I showed you layouts we have, right? So layouts, whichever the layout you want, you can select it. So if you wanted to move this particular chart to the new sheet or as an object, if you wanted to move it to the new sheet, you can move it to the new sheet, or wherever you want, you can happily move this chart using the move chart option, or else you can select and you can cut and paste as well wherever you want. So let me select here, this is chart I have selected, control X or control C, you can do wherever you want, you can copy paste as well. So these are all about charts which we have available. Next we have pivot charts, which we already covered. Next we have Sparklines. So where do we use these Sparklines? For example, let me select Sparklines. We would like to have a data range. So this is my data range. So from where you want to start, you can give. Sparklines means within the cell, if you wanted to create any quick charts that can help you, yes, you can create those things. Those we call it as a spark lines. So similar way, as soon as I create a spark lines, so my spark line tab is enabled. Whichever the color you want, you can select. Let me take some data which we have a use data. Okay, let me take this sample data. Let me do it here, spark lines, so you can understand easy. So I'll take this data. Let me delete these columns which I don't want. So let me take. Now I would like to create, or else let me create a sample data which you can easily understand. So let me take Q1 profit, Q2 profit, Q3 profit, Q4 profit. Now I'll put some numbers, 120, 140, 100, 80. Okay, like this I can have for year as well. So here I will put here 2020, so 2021, 2022, 2023. So these lines, okay, let me put it here, 80 crores, 120, 140, 190. So I'll put 60, 130, 50, 20, 200. Some random numbers I am putting. I wanted to show you how Sparklines works. 500, 450. So I would like to create here, go to insert, Sparklines. So line, this is my data range. So it's like inserting chart within the cell. Now as soon as I insert, I have my sparkline has been enabled. If you wanted to add more colors, if you wanted to clear, you can clear it. So here I'll show you for one, so it will be the same. If you wanted to change as a sparkline to the this one column chart, you can select it. If you wanted to change it as a win or loss, so win or loss, in case if I put some minus 120 crores, that will show as a, okay, let me change this sparkline, edit data. If you wanted to edit the data, you can edit the data range. If you wanted to edit single sparkline data, you can do that as well. And if you wanted to hide empty cells, you can do that. Here we don't have any empty cells, you can hide and show row or column. Yes, you can change it. So if you see here, there are various options available, right? Colors and all, you can choose it. So in the sparklines, we have line chart, column chart, win or loss, and high point, low point. If you wanted to highlight those, you can select, and if you wanted to highlight any negative points, you can check this. First point, last point, if you wanted to highlight that also, you can select it and check this. And sparkline color, whichever the color you want, you can choose. Here these all are all the some of the format options which are available for sparklines. Next, what are the other options which we have available? Slicers, which we already discussed. Next option is link. So link, where do we use these links? Okay, let me close this one, which I don't want. So here, if you see the file which I have given, see, usually we have a book. On that book we have an index, right? So if you wanted to go to unit number 10, so you will not be searching for each and every page. What you will do, you will directly go to the index and search for the page number, and you will search for the page number, so you directly will be landed in the unit which you are looking for. Similar way in MS Excel also, we can create a hyperlinks. So here if you see, if I click on file, it is taking me to the file worksheet. If I click on insert, it is taking me to the, I think this link is not working, that's fine, we can change it. If I click on page layout, it is taking me to the page layout sheet. So similar way we can create hyperlinks however we want. Now how do we create hyperlinks? So we can link with external website. Now for example, if I click on Google, so I want Google to be opened. So how can we do that? So I will first select Google, then this is the URL I am copying. You just go to the link, you can select the insert link, then place existing or website. I'll just copy paste this as a website. So if I click on it, it will open the Google website. You see here, Google website is opening. So this is how you can create links externally or internally. For example, let me create a new workbook. So I have a candidate, okay, candidate name, and I want to resume. I will say, let me put Surendra. So I have multiple names. So whenever I click on their name, I want their resume or profile to be opened. So how can we do that? Go to insert option, just click on it. So there are insert. If you wanted to link to the file, so here you go, wherever you have that file. For I have this file here, I will select for now. If I click on it, so if I click it, my PDF will be opened. So that is a file or profile which I can link it. So if you see here, this is the file. So if I wanted to attach to the my profile, I'll just right click on it. Same thing is available under link as well. So I'll go to folder where my profile is been saved. So desktop, and I'll go to where my profile has been saved. So here my profile has been saved. I will link this one to my profile. If I just click on it, my profile will be opened. See, that is how you can link using the hyperlinks. Now, how can we create within the sheet? So I will show you. Insert, okay, so insert link, go to link. If as soon as you select a link, here it's showing existing file or web page, place in this document only. So since I would like to link this one, insert, if I select insert and where you want to go, if I click here as A1, it will take me to the A1 only. If I put A100, it will take me to the A100. Let me put it and show you. If I click on it, see, it is taking me to the A100. So by default, we'll have a A1, that is the first cell. And now I have created hyperlink. I would like to edit hyperlink. So how do we do that? Go here. You can change it. So let me put now A1 only. If you wanted to remove hyperlink, you can do it. You can check from here and you can remove hyperlink. See, as soon as you create a hyperlink, your cell text will be highlighted as yellow and there will be a underline. Now if I wanted to create, if I click on my functions, it will take me to the functions sheet. So that is how you can create. For example, I wanted to mail, okay, so if I click Surendra Reddy, I would like to, okay, since I have added proofing, it is taking me like that. Let me put Surendra. If I click on it, that should open my email ID. So I can put my email ID. So here I will put email to itsksreddy@gmail.com. If I give, so as soon as I click, that will open my draft and you can create a mail to that email. That is how you can hyperlink using the link option. So if I wanted to link to the any file, MS Excel training, there is a basic MS Excel basics and advanced PDF, right? So I will say training content, training PPT. So I can just link that PPT to this file. If I, as soon as I click on training PPT, my PPT will be opened. Okay. This is how you can create hyperlinks. Next option, which we have comments. If you wanted to add any comments for a particular cell or for particular data, so let me go to the sample data one. So here I have some sample data, right? So I'll take it to the new sheet. So I would like to add some comments. So I'll go to the insert comment saying that please get clarified. So any comments you can add it for the each cell. Okay. So whenever you place a cursor, that comment will be shown. That is how you can add any comments if you wanted to add. Next option, we have a text box, which I already showed you. You can use the text box to insert some text. Then as soon as you insert, the shape format will be enabled. And we have word art header and footer. Yes, header and footer, if you wanted to use it, you can use it. So why do we use and how do we use this header and footer? Where do we use? So whenever you wanted to print something, if you wanted to put header and footer, you can put. And if you wanted to include any word art, yes, you can text here and include it here. So MS Excel training. So you can use that word art option which is available. Next, signature line. If you wanted to add signature line bottom of the sentence or bottom of the sheet, bottom of the page, you can use that. And we have an object. So now if I click on, for example, let me take candidate name, name of the candidate, and I will put my name. Now I linked, right? So if I click on my name, my profile should open. Now I want that file to be inserted in the Excel. So how do we do that? There is an option called object. So select object, create. You can browse for profile wherever you have profile. So select profile, insert, select as link to the profile, display as icon, just insert it. So earlier we were linking. In this case here, PDF itself will be inserted in the Excel sheet. Okay, so earlier, whenever if you wanted to share this your Excel sheet with other user, so if that file is been saved in the common drive, yes, they should be able to access it. In case if those files are in your local drive and if you link it, they cannot access to those files. But whenever you insert file itself in the MS Excel, so anyone can open it. So for example, I have 10 files, 10 invoices or 10 files, something which I would like to insert it in the Excel and save it as a one file. Yes, you can do that. So how do we get that option? Under text, there is an object which you can use. And we have different symbols which we wanted to insert. So we can insert it. So anyway, this we don't use it usually. If you wanted to, for example, mobile number you wanted to write instead of writing as a mobile, so you can put mobile symbol. So there are various symbols which you can use it. So these are all the options which are available under insert. So pivot tables which we covered, and recommended pivot tables which we learned, and table, how do we create tables which we learn, how do we insert various shapes or images and text boxes, and how can we use smart art as well, which we covered. And we also learned recommended charts and pie charts, line chart, column charts, all those. We also learned sparklines. If you wanted to create sparklines for the selected range, we can create. And we also learned how to use slicers. And moreover, we have learned how can we format shapes, how can we use the table design, and how can we use the pivot table analyzer. All these we have learned under insert tab, and the customized ribbon buttons. As soon as we create, those will be enabled, and we have seen all the options which are all available for those ribbon buttons. So this is all about insert ribbon button. Next we will get into the page layout option, page layout ribbon button in the next video. Thank you for watching.